Gracias por escuchar otro episodio más de Empodérate de Chicanos por la Causa. ¡Empezamos! ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están? En otro episodio más, bienvenidos de Empodérate de Chicanos por la Causa. Es un placer estar con ustedes el día de hoy para presentar, Fátima, a Miguel Montanez, a storyboard artist and animator, and who has a special connection to CPLC as well. That we'll talk about it a little bit. How you feel, Fátima? Your third episode.
Yeah, my third episode. It's been good. I'm excited.
Right? Well, thank you for securing another excellent guest. Estamos platicando hace rato, Miguel, that we did reach out before, but you are saying yes to Fátima in 2024 is the new start.
That didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm pleading the fifth. I missed the email. I'm going to be honest with you. I just didn't see it. I saw it later when I was looking for the email about like what today was.
Right.
I just looked up Empoderate and it was like, oh, it's from December. My bad.
But
Stephanie's not working anymore, so she can't have her feelings about it.
Exactly. So, but we'll say hello, Stephanie. We made it happen.
Hi, Stephanie.
Sorry. So why don't we get started from the very beginning? Tell us about.
Sure. The year was 1997. And I was born in December. Some
December
stuff
baby,
happened.
mira.
Yes.
Qué bien.
Some stuff happened, and now I'm here. I think we're good. No, I guess what is the beginning?
What's your background? Where's your family from? How did you get to be where you are today? But let's start from your family.
My background. My family's from Chihuahua.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Chihuahua is my mom's side of the family, and Delicias, Chihuahua is my dad's side. Born and raised here in Phoenix. I went to Brophy.
You did?
I did. I got in. They gave me money to go. Not to Brophy, to a different private school, and then that closed down, and then the money transferred over to Brophy. So,
what was it important for I don't know if it was a goal of yours or your parents. What was it important? So Brophy, it's a
Brophy College Prep,
private college, Catholic school, very popular here in sought after in the Valley.
I think it initially was more of a thing that my mom really wanted me to do, and then I toured and got to meet some people there, and it was really nice. People seemed interested in their studies, which is weird to me because at that point, like in middle school, I was getting like bullied for caring about my grades. I don't know. It was a weird thing.
What?
I don't know.
They were just jealous.
I don't know. It was weird. So Brophy was like, oh, people actually care about their grades to a certain extent, as much as a teenager can. And so then I really wanted to go, and I actually got in for my freshman year of high school, but it was really expensive, and I got a full ride to a very small private school in Paradise Valley called Tesseract. And so I had to make the decision to not have debt for high school, because that isn't great. So I went there, and then 3 years later, the school was like $1 million in debt, and they closed down. It turns out they weren't great with money.
So you made the right choice.
So
in moving to the other school.
Yeah, exactly. So I made a really good choice. I was vindicated 3 years later. And I was like, maybe I can go back to Brophy. They don't generally take senior transfers, but they allowed me very gracefully to go back and finish out my senior year there. Then I went to ASU. I got the CPLC scholarship. So that's, I guess, where CPLC comes into the picture.
Yeah. But before CPLC, the expectations of you getting to a private school with a full ride, it's not, I don't think is the natural path that you would expect initially for, parents of immigrants. It's not like your parents, at least what I know of Cynthia, no creció con una herencia o con una posibilidad, pero miró la educación un futuro para ti.
Yeah, but knowing her.
And that's Cynthia is her mom.
My mom's name is Cynthia Aragon. And my dad just knows her very well. My mom's always been like really driven. I was saying earlier that I think a lot of my stick-to-itiveness, I don't know, comes from my mom, just watching her problem solve and like figure things out from a very young age. It's very inspirational.
Do you remember any specific like memories in your mind that like stayed with you and kind of support that?
It happened all the time. Any specific, this general ethos that she had of like, we'll figure it out. It's fine. We're going to get through this and the best is going to come. And you just have to work really hard and kind of get lucky, but be ready for those opportunities to happen and then take them when they do.
Or any memory like that, like figuring it out and having to problem solve.
To know your mom many, many years ago, it's, you're right, her drive, but also not only for you and make sure that you had the opportunity to live a better life than like all immigrants wish for our young ones, but also for other people in the community. It was bigger than just her and her family, her immediate family, but it was about being out there and advocate long nights, early mornings, 24/7 till this day.
Yes.
To advocate for immigrant rights, social justice, and being just fearless and getting out there and have the ability to gather others behind her and with her and making changes here in our state. And we owe a lot to that drive and to that effort that she made and continues to make to this day.
Yeah, I think no one has bore witness like me to just the amount of work that she has had to put into like every step of her career. Yeah, those long nights, weekends working, taking me to like marches that she organized, like labor marches in the early 2000s.
Right.
Or hanging out with her at the House of Representatives when she was working there on long nights where they're trying to get everything together to break. And no, I think that has been very influential on me on just figuring it out. Like I went to ASU and I wanted to be an animator, but ASU doesn't have an animation program. So I was just an art student. And then in my free time, I took animation classes. I went online and found every resource I could to just learn how to do it. And I just did it myself. Like I have no formal training in animation. I just kind of did it.
That was something that was important for you.
Yeah.
I remember, because I happened to read your application for the scholarship at CPLC and many, many, many years ago. And I obviously had to excuse myself from the committee and who rightfully gave you the scholarship that that you needed to complete your studies. But I remember very well, I mean, how prepared you were and how focused you were at that early age on what you wanted. But what it really stood out to me was how, and I never made that connection until then, you also, like your mom, looked at animation and what you wanted to do in life bigger than you, right? It was connecting also through the community, storytelling and making sure that our voices were there as well.
Yeah, I think growing up, I felt both connected and disconnected to like feeling Mexican, feeling like a Latino. My family would say I was the whitest of all of us because I don't know, I just was, not as connected as them. But then growing up, like I appreciated it more and more and more. And now in any of my personal work, I just bring it in because I like that. And other people really like that. They like to see themselves represented in media and art. And thankfully I can just do that now myself. Because I remember not seeing a lot of Mexicans in anything growing up, really.
Yeah.
There's Maya and Miguel is like one of the few animated things I can think of that has like
because
Mexicans.
It has your name too.
yeah. And people would constantly say that. But yes, I from a young age was like, I think storytelling is really important because it's one of those ways that you can break people down and just speak to them like a human being, like person to person, make them see how you feel and engage with you regardless of whatever, experiences they have or prejudices they may carry. Like once you just start seeing someone and the way that they talk about themselves and the way they represent themselves in their community, it's just inviting you to like glance at their humanity and really care about them.
Was that always your mindset about mentality about storytelling? Like going back to when you were preparing to, going through the interviews to be a CPLC scholar, like what was your mentality or your expectation of what you wanted to do? Did you always know you wanted to be an animator, like since you were little? Yeah, weirdly. From a very young age, I was like, I want to be an animator. And at that time, I didn't think that, like beginning of high school, I didn't think that there was any jobs for that left. I thought everything had moved overseas, everything was being outsourced. So I settled on storyboard artist because that was kind of the closest thing I thought we still had to animating here in the US. And so I kind of focused on that. A lot of my education that I did informally in college was on storyboarding. And then I realized like, there are just jobs as animators that you can do here. So I just started doing that instead. And then got a job that I was not prepared to get, but I just kind of, again, ran with it. So Whalefall, I don't know if you want to show the animation. That was a job that I just saw a game studio post on Twitter like, hey, we need animators to work on a cinematic for our game. And I had maybe made 2 animations at that point. And so I just really quickly threw together a page on my website that's like animation, and just threw kind of what little I had and said, hey, I'm really good at this, I think, and I'd like to do it. And they said, sounds good. And
is that the one that we're looking at?
That's not it. It's
that's El Águila Azul.
Yes. And they said, sure, looks good. So
Can you describe it? What was that like? The animation that you did that time.
Yes, it is an intro cinematic for a video game. It's like a fantasy RPG. There's a lot of fun characters, bird people, mole people. And so what I did was I met with their creative manager, their creative director, and kind of banged out an idea, and then sent their CEO a really detailed spreadsheet. I was like, I think this is how it'll go. And I just exuded as much confidence as I could, fake, because I don't know what any of this process is. I was like, yeah, here you go.
You make it.
Exactly. And the guy said, yeah, you seem to know what you're doing. Here you go. And
confidence, yes.
I started working on that December of 2020. And that was my life for a year. Was every part of that process was character design, storyboards, animation, compositing, which is like the finishing. The only thing I didn't do was paint all the backgrounds. I laid them all out. Like I drew the sketches of them and then handed them off to a different artist to paint them so I could focus on animating the whole thing. And that was about 11 months to do 1.5 minutes of animation.
Wow.
All by myself. First time I'd ever animated really anything, definitely anything that big, but anything kind of at all. And it worked out.
And that was for Whalefall?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you worked on that for months?
A year, yeah.
Almost a year?
Yeah.
And Whalefall is the project, your first project, but it was not because of your fault, but because of the production, it didn't end up... The
game was unfortunately canceled, yeah.
The game... And how did you, process that?
It was canceled like a year and a half later or something. They
because they had a partnership with Nintendo.
And there was some hiccups that came up, and then the game never came out. But my animation did make it into an Xbox showcase for Xbox games. So it was still really cool to see people get to see my animation and enjoy it. Unfortunately, the game just kind of didn't work out on their end, and it is what it is.
Even though it wasn't your fault, did it still affect you? The disappointment from it not making it out for other people to enjoy your art?
I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to work out.
Oh, really?
Not while I was working on it, but a little bit afterwards. I was still keeping track of the progress, and I was like, oh, it's not.
What do you feel could have been done differently?
Not spending all that money ahead of time to make, because they were kind of working on the entire game all at once, and then trying to kickstart it later. I was like, if you just made a little bit of it and really polished it, and then got the Kickstarter to make the rest of it, then you wouldn't have burned through so much money. I don't know. It seemed like it was very much a passion project for everyone at the studio who was working on it. But it was a lot of people's first game. And I think it was way too big for a first game. It was insanely big.
But it's still a great reminder of it being your first project and just believing in yourself and having that confidence when you didn't really have that much experience. But it was a gambit for sure. I just kind of went for it, and it worked out for me. I mean, I finished the animation. They were really happy with it. I got a lot of experience out of it. I got experience with the entire part of the pipeline of the process from start to finish. And then I was just kind of without a job for a little while. I was just working on my own animations, trying to just do personal work. And then that's interesting. So tell us how, so then that's when you worked on Whalefall, and then you were floating for a bit.
Yeah.
And then that's when you went into getting where you're currently employed now at Powerhouse Animations.
Yeah. Yeah. So while I was working on Whalefall, that was a fairly grueling schedule because it was just me doing everything, and it was freelance. So you just kind of work until it's done. It's really late nights. Didn't get to see my girlfriend very often. It was just zoned in on working. Yeah, exactly. And so by the end of it, I was really burnt out and really tired. And
that's why it was not hard for you to let go.
Yeah. I had let go months before it was done.
You're well, it's them, not me. I did my job. Yeah.
I was done with it. I'm really proud of what I made, but I was just so tired.
So for those of us that are not familiar in the gaming world or storyboarding or animation, it takes a lot of time. Walk us to the process of just creating something new and how the inspiration comes in the first place, or is it always just specifically assigned to you and then you look at it, or you do specific, you take a specific process to then figure out this is where I want, and then how that process follows, because you talk 11 months for, and we don't, others outsiders in the gaming world didn't know how much work
you just see it behind it. It's a minute and a half. You're like, all right, cool, done.
Outstanding. I'm like, so is that typical?
It's not typical it takes that long. It took that long because I was one guy.
Okay.
Usually if you have a whole team, it goes a little bit faster because multiple people are doing the different steps at the same time, right? I couldn't, work on character designs and animate at the same time. So where you would have kind of several layers of production stacked on top of each other, I have to just do them all linearly. You asked me about process.
Your process, yeah.
It depends on whether it's a personal thing or whether it's a something for a client. So where I work now, everything that we do is for clients. We're a boutique studio. So clients come to us and say, hey, I want a trailer for a video game, or a trailer for a video game, or a trailer for a video game. Because we mostly do trailers for video games. There's also some other stuff in there. Cinematics for video games. A lot of it's advertising stuff.
Going back to like Powerhouse Animations, like how your current job there now, I really wanted for you to share, or I'm hoping if you can share about your story about how you got employed there. I feel like it's really inspiring, and really teaches our audience to like put themselves out there, even though they might feel like if they're like artists like you and they feel like no one's really watching or really listening to what they're doing. You made a bold step in like posting something on Twitter that caught on.
Yeah, so it was after I was done with Whalefall. I was really tired. I took a little break. And then I was just... Animation and art is a thing that I just do to relax. It's just a thing I've always done in my idle time. So I was like, I'm done with this project. What do I do now to chill out? Well, obviously I work on another project. And I again, whole process, animated, cleaned up. In animation, Águila Azul, I don't know if you have it up.
We can cue Águila Azul. It has...
There it is.
There it is.
So that was just...
Is it a robot?
It is. It's a robot. It is a robot. It's a boy and a robot. If you know me at all, I just like robots a lot.
So I'm guessing you were a fan of Transformers?
Yeah, I still am a fan of Transformers.
And what kind of style is it for those that are listening to?
It is kind of a retro anime style, quick little animation of a boy in like a big round robot. It has motorcycle parts for legs, punching a vaquero with a metal arm. And that was an idea I had a long time ago, and then I just wanted to animate a little bit from it. So I just spent some time in my free time, and then I posted on Twitter. At the time, most of my followers on Twitter were people who like animation or kind of in the industry. And so it got passed around, and like 2 different people from my work sent it to our producer. And they reached out and said, hey, this looks really cool. Would you like a job? Or like, to interview for a job. I was like, that would be very cool, actually. Thank you.
Wow.
And then it worked out. I got a job, and that's where I've been working for the last 3 years.
Wow.
That is such a big thing.
Absolutely. Just posting, and because it just came naturally, something that you enjoy, you wanted to do, you posted because you enjoy it, and then you got a job interview out of it, and a new job.
And I'd posted a lot before, and none of it really caught on at all. And it is a numbers game. You just kind of have to post and hope that something happens. But it's about building your skill and being ready for when those opportunities arise, and then just taking them. But you're not going to get them if you're not posting, constantly. Because right between getting hired and actually starting my job, I made the taqueria drawing, and that people really like that. So that is, I think, the most popular thing I've ever posted.
How was that? Because I know you had shared that for the taqueria one, where it's 3 characters eating tacos.
Yes.
That a friend had showed you it. Didn't not knowing that it was you being the artist.
It was weird when my friends was like, I just saw this on Reddit. I didn't even realize it was you until I looked at the comments and someone tagged you in it. And I was like, that's really weird for one of my friends to see my art and not be me showing them my art. I just came across, and I still just come across it on Twitter or on TikTok sometimes. It's just kind of become one of the images people just post.
Isn't that acknowledgement similar to what a celebrity would be asking for a picture?
No, it's just
or an autograph? And like, oh my
Has
God,
anyone
yes,
asked you for your
mine.
autograph on it? No?
it's permeated into a certain cultural zeitgeist for a couple of people. A lot of just Mexicans online
I
who
was
like
gonna
anime.
say, yeah.
Which is a lot of them. There's a lot of them. You're driving around, you see a lot of Mexicans with like Goku on their truck or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I have a few cousins that love Goku. And you know, the elements though of, you know, our heritage there involved not only with the tacos and eating in una taqueria, but also we were talking about it too before we started with Fatima, the shirts that resonate the colors of America.
God, the amount of people
las
arguing.
Chivas,
Oh, yes.
that are like
Because one of the characters in the
Soccer.
picture is wearing an America shirt.
Yes.
And as a lot of Hispanics know, especially Mexicans, know the big rivalry between the Chivas and America.
That's right.
Yeah.
So-
and then people were like replying to it saying like, no, Oscar would not be an America fan. That's blasphemy. And some people were like, no, she's definitely an America fan. That makes total sense.
You're like, hello, I'm the artist over here. I made the decision, and it's
I have no opinion. I just gave her a shirt. It was very funny just because I just put a lot of stuff in there that felt I just like, you know what I mean? It was very in line with kind of my experience of just stuff that Mexicans wear. And I was like, yeah, here's just a bunch of stuff. And people were like arguing and commenting on all these little things that I just put in there. I was like, oh, I forgot that other people like care, you know, that this is also a lot of other people's experience. So it was authentic to me. And so it's authentic to a lot of people who share the same experiences. There were people from like Brazil who were like, this really resonates with me because this is what art taquerias look like too. I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. But a lot of Latinos just have a very similar
And their
experience.
soccer team also, their shirts are yellow too.
Yes.
Yellow and a little bit of green.
Yeah. So it was a lot of just putting in these cultural elements that I wasn't particularly trying to like, oh, people will like this. I was just making it for myself and then posting it. But people resonate with it. You know, it feels very, very honest to them. And they have never seen these characters represented with their own cultural, you know, artifacts. And that feels really cool.
And speaking of culture, a couple of years ago or so, you came back and connected with CPLC through a campaign.
Do some like animation or something where we
also that
mix
viral
anime
post
and
influenced the campaign.
Yeah, so it's like let's mix like anime, specifically kind of this retro anime style that I really like, and you know just Mexican stuff, and also the Get Out the Vote campaign. So the first animation was this abuela smacking you with a chancla to go
Love
vote.
it. We should run it. It's actually on our website, I believe, still.
Is it still?
Yeah, CPLC.org. Watch it under videos.
I had a lot of fun with that one, just drawing an abuela a lot in like this style. The second one is specifically based off of like the taqueria. It's more parody, but it's a guy filling out his ballot at a taqueria, and
There it
the
is. Abuela, vete a votar. Yeah.
As if the exclamation mark isn't enough, she has a chancla ready to go.
You know what's coming.
That's the third
other
one. That's the soccer. So it's
I love that.
he kicks the soccer ball and it turns into a ballot. Getting to mix these two strong influences of mine, you know, anime and being Mexican, I guess. It's weird to say it's an influence. It's just kind of like a thing that I am.
Like what you are.
It's like self-expression more, right?
Yeah. It's just speaking to your cultural identity, you know, that feels very good. Especially when there were times growing up where I felt like I wasn't really Mexican or like I wasn't Mexican enough for people. To get to just express that and have people actually resonate is validating weirdly to my sense of you know, cultural heritage or whatever. To get to make stuff and then people go, yep, that's the Mexican guy. Feels really good because it's just validating. to a sense of identity that was felt a little bit, fractured growing up.
It's true. I can relate to that. But with, I think, more than anything, language. Mi primer idioma es español.
Sí.
Pero cuando estamos aprendiendo inglés, decimos mucho when we're speaking Spanish. And so when we go and visit Mexico, I'm like, ¿Ya se te olvidó que no sabes ahora que eres gringa? Yeah. And then you come here and you're in school and you speak with an accent till this day, very proudly. And then you are not American enough. But then with your Mexican family, you're not Mexican enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And then eventually, I think, we grow out into, this is who I am.
Yeah, and ultimately, you have to...
And you see the influences, of course, of our...
Yeah. In the end, you just synthesize an individual identity that incorporates a lot of different things. But I think a lot of people, they so firmly identify with, like, this thing is me and this thing is us, that if you start to deviate from it too far, losing a little bit of the accent or, like, speaking a little bit differently, then they're like, well, you're not real. Maybe to validate, themselves as being real by saying you're not, or just as a joke that they don't realize is hurtful or something. But I don't know, just you eventually have to just live with yourself and learn to I don't know, just love that you are the way you are and exist.
I think we're more more inclusive now, understanding of the new generations and the different layers of what being Latino, being Mexican it is. I still feel from other generations that the fact that they didn't speak Spanish was an issue to not feeling included as part of, either within their families, right?
It is a barrier because you are also losing that ability to communicate, to receive culture. I'm very happy that I speak Spanish. I guess I didn't necessarily have a choice. I was raised by my abuela, and she speaks Spanish. My mom speaks Spanish.
¿En casa se habla español?
Hey.
By any chance, does your grandma look like the lady in the chancla?
No.
Just wondering.
No. My grandma looks very different. I made sure not to make it look like my grandma because I didn't want her to yell at me and say, ¿qué es eso? No, eso yo. No tengo el pelo.
No te voy a dar queso menonita, sino queso fundido de Chihuahua.
No, that was a more just prototypical like idea of an abuelita.
Pero sí es cierto.
But yeah, I think there is a bit of a disconnect to feeling like you can't as much like engage with and receive that culture. You still are Mexican. You still care. I think you're Mexican as long as you genuinely care about the culture and about engaging with it however you can. And yeah, maybe you learn some Spanish if you want to, and you probably do want to, if you care. But it's not a mark against you or anything, because it's not points on a board.
Yes, exactly.
that eventually you hit a threshold of, yep, Mexican, because it just doesn't matter, Yeah. It's everyone has their own identity they have to synthesize from these things. So, yeah.
Es cierto. It's true. Miguel, te vemos muy, muy serio y así, muy calmadito, but we want to know what it is that, te le da sazón a tu vida. ¿Qué es lo que haces to relax or have fun?
I draw a lot. I'm
draw?
not joking. I stop working and then I start drawing, which is what I do for work too. That's just what I've always done. I got in trouble in school for drawing.
How do you separate that, like fun drawing versus work drawing, but then still having it as a passion, but then also getting paid for it?
It's harder and harder every day because stuff you do for fun, you then post, and then posts can get you money or work. So like technically even for fun drawings are also work drawings. It's a weird confluence of
well, then a fun drawing was what got you your job too.
exactly. Yeah. So, but then you start making things for fun, like for work, and there's a weird pressure on it, and they turn out worse because you're thinking about them too much. I try and just like keep things that I draw for myself. Sometimes I'll post them, but I don't make them with the intention of posting them. It's just like, I'm just drawing because I want to. And it feels different. Like it does feel different to work on something that is like your job. Like anytime I'm working for work, I have to clock in. I have specific directions from, my director and character sheets that I have to follow and budget to think about, and I have to think down the line to the next person that's have to take care of this shot, to think about the compositor and the background artist, especially if I'm like storyboarding. So there's a lot more, like baggage on top of it. And so whenever I'm just drawing for myself, I try to like keep as much of that away. It doesn't always work because I get in my head about it. I'm like, well, this will be fun and this will do well, hopefully, or like I think people will like this. But I try as much as I can to make the circumstances around the drawing different. But yeah, I draw for fun. I can't not. I also I build model kits of robots.
More robots.
My room's covered in
goes on.
Yeah, my room is covered in robots. It's crazy.
Yes.
What else do I do? I hang out with my girlfriend. We watch movies. We have to go to the movies a lot. Watch a lot of movies. Yeah.
Watch movies. So as a veteran that you are already in this field,
call myself a veteran in this field.
Hey, you do trailers for games, Sonic, and so many others, right?
A lot of big projects.
A lot of big projects. What are any piece of advice for aspiring animators?
Get your fundamentals up. Like it's just important to be able to. A lot of drawing of any kind all derives from basic fundamentals of drawing. Obviously style comes into it, but learn your timing, learn your volumes, make something 3D. But more than anything, it's just about like doing stuff for you first, and then the work will hopefully come later. Like get better doing the stuff that you want to make. Like don't make something that you think will do well for posting, because that's just a recipe for burning yourself out on art and not really wanting to do it because it's not even enjoyable at that point. Most people don't get into art because it's a really lucrative job that has a lot of job security. And so I can just not enjoy it and do it because it's a shaky field. Things are constantly moving and jobs are constantly ending and starting. So you get into being an artist because you like doing it. And so if you try and get a job by posting things that you don't like to do, you're going to get jobs that you don't want to do because people will hire you to do what they see you doing and posting. So I was making robot animations, and I got hired to work at Powerhouse because they were working on a Sonic project that had robot animations. Like, oh, that's actually very similar to the one we're working on. Somebody get this guy on. And so one of the third Sonic animation that I worked on, there's a motorcycle in it. It's like a big hover bike thing. And I was given a lot of shots with that because they're like, well, you like animating like machines and robots. So here you go. So I got to animate a lot of this machine moving and animating in space. And that's because I was posting that kind of work. If I wasn't, then I wouldn't be getting jobs like that, that go to that strength that I am building by doing it more, but showing that I can do. So That's probably it. Unfortunately, it's just keep going, keep making stuff and then posting it. And post it on Twitter because it's still just the best platform for discovery. Instagram doesn't have a great ability to share things is the thing. You can put stuff on your story.
That's true.
They don't have reposts in the same way.
Right.
The timeline is a little bit different. You would think Instagram being an image-based platform is better, but
for animation.
Yeah, I mean, they've been moving more towards video generally. It's harder to just post a single image and have it do anything. But the discoverability tools are not as good on Instagram as on Twitter. And a lot of people just have these communities already on Twitter where when I posted that animation, someone found it, retweeted it, and then that gets retweeted to other people in animation, immediately just shows up in their feed and they can see it and share it to their people. So, yeah.
Para terminar, pues contentos de tenerte en Women's History Month, celebrando la primera semana. I hear, tu abuela, I hear tu mamá, I hear a Lisa. Entonces podemos decir que detrás de un gran illustrator, there is an animator, and storyboard, there is una gran mujer. But
yeah, I credit the women in my life with everything that I am and have. I was raised by very strong, stubborn, powerful women, like my abuela and my mom. Like they made me who I am. It's not this. You said like a joke, but it's not. It's not at all a joke. I just am who I am because of them.
Oh, that's wonderful. Any specific thoughts for women animators and how to break through? Is there anything different that you feel to increase the number of women, verging into this industry?
Well, as a female animator myself, I can't speak to it exactly. I know that there are groups within animation that focus on promoting, women in the field. I think Women in Animation is one. That's basically just, a group of people who all work in the same industry and are all just trying to promote each other as much as possible. And finding those groups, creating that, getting into those networks, right, are generally a good idea just to make yourself known in those spaces, because no one's going to promote women like women. No one's going to promote Latinos like other Latinos. I just think that you have to find those communities because you can all support each other and help each other find jobs and opportunities,
It's true. I love that.
Like everyone should support everyone, but no one's going to support you like your people. There's just a kinship that you have. You know what I mean? I say that as a Latino. I know there is no one who is going to show more people my stuff than other Latinos because it speaks to them, and knowing that it comes from someone who has a similar experience and has that similar, background makes it feel more authentic and more like I identify with this piece of art and I want other people to see it,
That's fantastic. Pues muchas gracias, Miguel Ángel.
Gracias.
Miguel Ángel
Sí.
Montañez. Ha sido un placer. Muchísimas gracias, Fátima. ¿Qué tal? Our first episode for Women History Month. Y tenemos a this awesome
I did it.
animator. Thank you so much. It's been such a really awesome episode. And this is what Empoderate is all about, is to be able to share our stories, understand what the struggles, what recommendations there is to break into and to the path that we want to go, and support us in community. So it's an awesome episode, and we appreciate Miguel Ángel Montañez, and saludos a su mamá, Cintia Aragón, hasta Panamá, posiblemente ahorita. But It's a pleasure. Y nos vemos next Thursday. Hasta la próxima.
Bye.